Did you hear this voice also in the UK, Andy? I guess so. Is Andy here? Hi.
No.
How did you like Baldover?
That was awesome. That was awesome. So I think it's a perfect energy for what's about to come.
Absolutely. And I'm so sorry that you are late for dinner, but well, first it's not my dinner but yours, but even then I would have preferred 10 minutes more of Baldover for the moment.
I can understand that.
But still, great to have you. Sorry to your wife. And Andy, you're a colleague since a few years. You're a product manager on Adobe Express, but you have been the co-founder, one of the co-founders for Content Cal, a tool that we acquired at Adobe, and which is now the scheduler in Express. The one thing that Tony Harmer mentioned earlier today that he won't miss, and one of the reasons why he is coming back to Adobe Express every day. And you also lived a big part of your life in social media and with B2B marketing. You have a best-selling book out there. You give great tips for B2B marketers on LinkedIn in short videos. So if anybody here is interested in improving your own B2B marketing, check out Andy's newsletter, his LinkedIn profile. Don't miss his tips. You can save so much time by just listening to his tips instead of finding out all the news yourself. And this is also what kind of you're going to share here with us today, right?
Indeed it is. Yeah, because I have to work very closely with all of the social networks, and I have had to do that for the last 10 years of, as you say, building Content Cal and then getting into Adobe. Yeah, I've had to be incredibly close to what's happening in the world of social, which then means that, I want to make sure I share everything that I'm learning, what's working, the trends, etc., with everyone else. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be a lightning fast session, loads of energy, and yeah, we'll be talking about the 7 macro trends that are shaping social right now. So,
okay,
what we're going to do.
We are curious. So we want to figure out, or we will figure out in the next few minutes, whether we get so much energy from your B2B marketing tips as from Baldover, but I guess so. And we also just wanted to mention this. We saw you yesterday already with a short introduction of the Metricool add-on as a spotlight video, which was very helpful. So thank you for that, and can't wait to hear the latest tips. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ingo. Really appreciate you inviting me to be part of this. Hopefully, can you see my slides in front of you now?
Yes, we can. They are perfect.
Cool. Awesome. So, yeah, well, thank you for the incredibly kind introduction, Ingo. I really appreciate it, man. So, yeah, if anyone wants to connect and learn more about the kind of stuff that I talk about, that QR code takes me or takes you to my LinkedIn profile. But anyway, let's get into the more important stuff, which is the more educational thing. So what we're going to do today is go through the 7 macro trends that are shaping social media. So things change in social all the time, as I'm sure we're all aware, right? And particularly at the moment, it feels like marketing in general is going through a big transition. And, we'll talk more about that. And, it is incredibly tough out there to drive distribution on our products, but there are ways that we can cut through the noise, and there are things that the social platforms are prioritizing. And when we understand what they're prioritizing, we can organize and coordinate our strategies in the appropriate way. So we're going to talk about those 7 macro trends. We'll probably spend half of the time, so the next kind of 10 or so minutes, talking about that. Then I'll go a bit more tactical and show some of the new features that exist within the social platforms that will help you unlock some of the big opportunities that I'm going to present to you right now. So that's what we're going to do. Feel free to fire in questions. I can't see them as I'm screen sharing, but I'll be happy to answer any questions either now or just ping me on LinkedIn. I will always answer everything I get. So anyway, that's my promise to you. All right, trend 1. This is quite possibly the most exciting one because I'm a total nerd for this stuff. This is why I find this exciting. A search is changing dramatically. I'm sure we know why, right? I think the shocking statistic here is that 60% of all Google searches now end without a click, which is absolutely wild, right? So SEO is not the traffic driver that it used to be. Doesn't mean SEO is dead, etc. I don't buy into that kind of stuff, but SEO is definitely changing. It's changing for a few reasons, right? Google AI overviews being one of those. I'm going to talk more about how we can use that to our advantage. And of course, a growing, it's small, but it's growing very quickly, share of like LLMs, Perplexity, where people are starting to shift to AI to inform their own buying preferences. Really interesting shift. But again, Google is still absolutely like 98% of all searches still happen on Google, but LLMs are growing. And the other thing is that increasingly search is becoming a social destination. Search and social is overlapping. Social media is becoming less about like just a place where we just distribute content and hope for the best. We can be much more intentional about it. Increasingly, people are searching social first to find things. So TikTok, for example, because it's more ahead of the game here than the other platforms. If you start searching anything in TikTok, for example, you'll see that it behaves quite similarly to Google now, where it's going to start giving you like suggested search terms, etc. You can even buy ads to rank for certain search terms. Increasingly, people are looking for like trusted areas where they can inform their own purchase behavior. And that's where they're heading to the search function on social platforms. What that means for us as marketers, how do we capture that? There's a few things. A couple of them I'm going to talk about later on, but one of the easiest ways of doing this is that making sure in our captions, in our content, we really think about making sure we're including the right keywords, not hashtag stuffing and having 25 hashtags. That doesn't matter anymore. It's just about having the correct keywords to ensure that our content will rank for the things that matter. It's nothing new from what we would have been used to with SEO, but it's just making sure that we think about how we might optimize for search, but in social. Really fascinating thing happening. So expect this trend to continue to grow. But something that also really influences search and discovery, this is the thing that I was going to talk about in the previous trend, because the first two are incredibly interlinked. And this is the broader sense of influence. It is becoming increasingly important the way that trust flows throughout a network. And what I mean by that is increasingly what buyers are looking to trusted resources to drive their purchase decisions. That might be through people that they follow on TikTok. That might be, increasingly we're seeing this from Reddit conversations or in private WhatsApp groups. The power of micro communities is getting incredibly powerful. And brands are recognizing this, that increasingly they're starting to work with nano influencers. So these are influencers with less than 10,000 followers. These are people with tight knit, trusted communities. This isn't the celebrity endorsement, of which I think we're starting to see some of that go away a little bit. And we're starting to see, especially in like a B2B marketing, when we're marketing technology, products, services, that kind of thing, we're starting to see those working with those smaller creators, those small communities are the critical factors here. And a wonderful upside that links both of these trends 1 and 2 together is that the more that we can encourage other people to talk about us, whether it's in a Reddit thread or whether it's in a community, that informs LLMs and Google AI overviews, because it's those signals that inform how content is ranked in LLMs and Google AI overviews. So trend 1 and 2 are beautifully interlinked. The short story here is that the more people that we can collaborate with and work with, the more powerful our business will become. So find those supporters, find those small communities, etc. And Ingo referenced my business, which we sold to Adobe. It became the fastest growing product in our category. And the thing that is the story I tell very frequently is that regularly when we were winning customers, etc., we heard people say again and again, like, "Oh, you guys seem to be everywhere. I hear about you everywhere." I'm like, of course, we didn't have the budget to be everywhere. We were just everywhere where our audience spent time. And that's the most important thing. When we truly understand our target audience and where they spend time, finding opportunities to work with creators and small communities there, that is where the gold is. So yeah, as you can probably tell, I believe and I've seen this work incredibly well for my own purposes. So it's a big trend and getting bigger. This one, that will be no surprise to anyone, so I won't spend as long talking about this one, but the amount of plays across Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts continues to grow. Short form video is here to stay. Now, interestingly, we're going to talk more about this, like what does short form actually mean? Is it 15 seconds? Is it 30? Is it 30 to 60? What do we mean when we say short form? When we say short form, we're talking sub 1 minute 30, sub 90 seconds. Although, interestingly, as we'll see in some other trends, is that videos are gradually getting longer. And actually, some of the best engagement rates happen in 30 to 60-second videos. So we don't have to have such short content anymore. Yes, the first 3 seconds matter. The hook matters. We all know this. But actually, interestingly, we've actually got more creative surface area to play with our short form video. We don't have to nail the story in 30 seconds. If the story is going to take 60 seconds to play out, that's totally fine. So short form video continues to grow, but we've actually got a bit more creative surface area to play with. But when we talk about unfair advantage, when we talk about, the thing that I often talk about is underpriced attention, where we can maximize what we describe as like bang for buck. How can we get the most reach on our content? And even though Instagram Reels in this data, and this data from Metrical actually, which is really, really useful, even though Instagram Reels, this data, you'd look at it as the bottom and you think, oh, that's not very good. But actually, it's still really strong. What this impressions per follower metric is and why it's important is that, if we have a 1-to-1 ratio in impressions per follower, that basically means that we're reaching our followers in total. We know that most of our followers, we don't end up reaching with our content because it's up to the algorithm gods to determine where our content goes. But whenever we see a number that's more positive than 1, that means we're extending our reach beyond our follower base. So like TikTok, on average, we're going to reach 3 times our followers. TikTok's distribution is better. TikTok has much more attention than the other platforms, which naturally means more time is being spent on TikTok, which means there's more opportunity for our content to be surfaced, more opportunity for our distribution to increase. But YouTube Shorts is just next level. It's like how TikTok was in 2021, where they are giving away reach. YouTube Shorts is now up to 200 billion views per day. 200 billion a day. Absolutely wild. And the reason that we're seeing incredible impressions, even if you've got no followers, you can still reach fantastic amounts of people with YouTube Shorts because it has so much attention right now. So we're playing the game of attention arbitrage. So yes, short form video, very important. YouTube Shorts, incredibly powerful as a distribution platform. And it doesn't even matter if you're repurposing content that you posted on Reels or TikTok on YouTube Shorts. I do it all the time. It is free reach, low effort. So honestly, I think there's a lot of value here. Top tip though, YouTube Shorts success is very, very heavily dependent on like usage of sounds, whether that's trending sounds, etc. Always find when trending sounds are used in YouTube Shorts content, the content is performance is increased. And also, don't forget, final thing on YouTube, this goes back to trend number 1, because we know that YouTube is incredibly powerful for search and it's also informing LLMs. So yeah, making sure we've got the right keywords in our captions, also very important. We all know this, but always a good reminder. And just FYI, searches on YouTube have tripled as well. So even though searches across Google, we're starting to see LLMs eat into Google's share of search, a lot of that traffic is actually, and a lot of that search intent is actually going to YouTube. So I find that very interesting. Long story short, YouTube is incredibly powerful. Don't sleep on it. Cool. The other thing that I would recommend no one sleep on, and I'm sure no one is, right, is the power of LinkedIn. LinkedIn can be a bit of a tough nut to crack sometimes. Video, they are still prioritizing. I'll share more about their direction around video, which will mean that video will get even more important. Of course, from a business perspective on LinkedIn, they still really restrict reach on company pages. It seems they've kind of flirted with the idea of really starting to push company pages more, but I can't with all good consciousness advise anyone to really focus on company pages. It's personal profiles on LinkedIn is where the joy is. And yeah, video on that, still fantastic reach rates. Not quite as good as they were a few months ago, it's fair to say, but I expect, given what I'm about to show you with what LinkedIn are doing on mobile, I expect that video will be a very good thing for you to lean into because it's going to grow again. Trend 6, 2 more to show you, and yeah, we're doing all right for time. The way that engagement is happening on social is shifting. And I think this is actually quite reassuring in a way, so that if you have noticed your engagement rates dropping or less people commenting on posts, that's okay. Because even at the highest level, like look at Adidas's most downloaded posts, what they get more actually is more of the sharing engagement is happening in private. So you can see, 75,000 comments on Adidas's most, top performing post from last year. The comments fine, a few comments is a decent amount, but when there was 18 million views, it's not that many. But shares, WhatsApp shares, favorites, that private level of engagement is really, really strong. And increasingly, we're seeing people less willing to engage in public, more wanting to engage in private. So basically, the thing is here, don't sweat it if like your traditional engagement metrics and the way that you've defined success isn't the same, right? And you're not getting higher engagement. That doesn't necessarily matter as long as reach, it continues to be strong. And then trend 7 is something that I find absolutely fascinating. So this is the final one I want to touch on because this is playing out right now. Don't really know where this is going to land. Digital town square. Ultimately, where is that kind of smaller, more text-based social network? Where is the, in the moment breaking conversation happening, right? It's always happened on Twitter, X, right? But that's not really changing, despite the fact that the media have painted a picture that X is dying, etc. People are leaving left, right, and center. Hasn't really bared out over time. Yes, they've seen some dips in Europe, but actually, at large, hasn't really shifted. Threads continues to grow. It's about 350 million monthly active users. That's the middle line, is Threads. Blue Sky grew and then it's kind of plateaued again. So, none of these platforms are your distribution platforms. Your distribution platforms are your TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts in particular, and LinkedIn as well. They are the 4 that is going to get you biggest bang for buck in terms of, maybe not having if you don't have a huge amount of followers, you can still reach a ton of people. So, think about it from that perspective. But also you need to think about social media from the other side of the coin. So there's always 2 sides that I think about. One, big reach and distribution across those 4 platforms. The other side is the more kind of private engagement, the smaller communities, the spaces where our audience spend time as well. So I see that as very important. But it's all down to, having that recognition of who are we trying to seek to serve, and where do those audiences spend time, whether that's on Blue Sky, Threads, or whatever. Those platforms are growing, but they're not your platform for distribution. They're your platform for more meaningful, in-depth dialogue. I'll explain what we can do about that more tactically in just a moment. So that's what I'm going to do now. So they're your 7 key trends that are shaping the direction of social media. And you'll see how this is playing out in these new features that have landed, which will also help you take advantage of those trends that we've just been speaking about. So like I said, all of the platforms are following this playbook where they're switching to views as the primary metric. It used to be like follower growth. Follower growth doesn't matter anymore. Quite frankly, I'm happy to now say this. Follower growth does not define success. So not only is followers not the way that we define success anymore, neither is engagement. Neither is like the comments that we receive on a post that we were just talking about. Cultures are changing there. But this is really important. So if views are now the primary metric that's driving Facebook, this actually really helps us orientate what we need to consider as part of our content strategy and the kind of things that we'll need to create in order to please the algorithm to make sure our content gets pushed far. Because if views is what Facebook is orientating towards and what Facebook deems as success, That means it's our job to try and create short form social first video that's going to keep people on platform for as long as possible. So that means, slightly longer videos that I spoke about. So I'm going to talk about that some more. But before we do that, actually, the other thing that Facebook have just added is making it much easier for you to find the partners that have influence in your space. Like I was saying in Trend 2, talking about like the importance of nano influencers and creators, finding the people that we can collaborate with to build our trust in the sectors that we really want to grow in. And using the partnership hub on Facebook or the creator marketplace on Instagram, they've got loads of tools to help you find those people to work with. So talking of Insta, I'm actually going to skip over that in interest of time. I'll skip over these two because I actually want to get straight into the meat of it. So Instagram is starting to recommend 3-minute reels. So you can do reels up to 10 minutes. I wouldn't recommend that. So reels up to 3 minutes now gets recommended in the reels feed on Instagram. That's important because, as we know, with this short form social video, so your reels, your TikTok, YouTube shorts, your followers don't really determine your content success. Your content is going to go out to people that the algorithm believes will like your content. So it needs to be recommended. So that means it needs to be within 3 minutes. But the general data is telling us that between 30 to 60 seconds, both across Reels and TikTok, is the kind of magic number of what you want to be creating content within. Because if you're keeping people watching your content, it means you're going to be rewarded with more reach. That means, as I said before, nailing that 3-second hook and nailing the story so that people want to watch to the end. Basically, our job is trying to maximize the number of views. That's it. Real simple success criteria now. And something that Instagram is doing, and I would recommend this to anyone testing this out that does any form of like short form social. They've introduced trial reels, which is just a way of when you click this option, you'll see this whenever you go through the flow of creating a Instagram reel. You can just toggle this on. And this will introduce your reel to a whole new social graph of people it thinks will like your content. It's a way of you surfacing maybe a different type of content and leaving it up to Instagram to figure out who that will land with. Interestingly, though, is that I've seen from the creators and businesses that have started using this, they've started to see like a 40% improvement in their content performance and the number of views by using this feature. So this could be a real nice like tactical hack to drive some additional views on your content. So yeah, do try this and let me know how you get on. And Instagram are following the same pattern as Facebook. And whenever I'm seeing repeating patterns happen across the multiple social networks, it gives me confidence that I know that this is the direction that they're going in. Again, views is the critical piece that they're orientating towards, because that's the thing, it's driving their economic engine. If we're keeping people watching our video, it's in the interest of Instagram to serve our video to more people, to get more people retained on Instagram so they can sell more ads, basically how it goes. But the really interesting thing, because Instagram have improved their insights here, you can see the view rate past the first 3 seconds. This is a really important metric to optimize for. So you'll start to think, okay, so looking at your content performance, I'd recommend doing this maybe at the end of the week or end of the month, looking at your top performing content that had the highest view rate past the first 3 seconds, because then you've nailed the hook, which then gives you a model for how you can build content moving forward. And also, I think this really underpins the point of that we were saying about like why views are important. The social graph and your followers don't matter as much, because you'll see this in this section in Instagram Insights, is that you'll often see the proportion of views from non-followers far outweighs those from your followers. So yeah, basically, this isn't wildly complex stuff here. This is actually really simple things that we need to do to optimize for our content. Short form video, 30 to 60, 90 seconds. And thinking about keeping people watching up to the full duration, maximizing the view rate past the first 3 seconds, nailing that hook. Because this is how Instagram determines success. It's from the man himself being Adam Mosseri. He is the head of product at Instagram. So definitely, if Instagram is your thing, definitely recommend following him. So the important thing here is that there was a shift in how Instagram determines what good content looks like. They used to determine good content by the percentage of time completed in that video. So if you did a 10-second video, so people are more likely to have a 90 or 100% completion rate of that video. That used to mean, great, you got 100% completion rate, brilliant, they're going to send the video out to more people. But actually they've shifted watch time and how they determine success here. You know, when we think about views and view time, they've now just said the amount of time that people watch overall is the thing that determines success. Again, that talks to why they're pushing to the recommending 3-minute videos and why we're starting to see 30 to 60, 90-second videos perform really well. So as you can see, you know, what I'm saying here is not just like stuff I've made up. This is all informed by what the networks are telling us. They also released the Edits app. Now, of course, not as good as Adobe Express for video editing, but it remains to be seen if they give any extra reward if people edit within the Edits app, in the same way that TikTok did have the same with CapCut. So I don't know, might be worth experimenting with. But let's move on to LinkedIn. Like I said, like the video play, I think is a smart one. And if you're not doing much video on LinkedIn, now is a good time to start thinking about it, because they've shown their designs of how they're previewing how the mobile experience will change. As you can see, like you're starting to see recent videos from Danielle here. So a very different display for how videos will be prioritized. You can see video in this tab in the mobile UI. I don't have this yet. I think it's available for some folk in the US. So LinkedIn are quite slow to roll stuff out. So if you update your LinkedIn app, it might well look like that, where they're really starting to prioritize a whole video feed, which looks like this, the full screen video feed, kind of starting to look a bit like TikTok. So this gives us a great clue that LinkedIn are pushing towards this. Don't think we have this in the UK. I don't have it yet, but yeah, it's coming. In the same way that they're also adding a trending topic tag for videos, goes to show, like, again, they're really starting to lean into that video piece on LinkedIn. Definitely an opportunity, because also we know that LinkedIn, as soon as they start releasing this stuff for everyone, they're going to give it an almighty push, as they always do, and reward you with a ton of reach. So there's an opportunity here. Now, this is also a bit of a hack, and I quite like this one, to be honest. If you have a premium LinkedIn profile and a company page, I mean, it's $99 a month, so it's not that cheap. But the delightful thing is that you can invite the followers of your rivals' pages. So let's say you're competing with a much bigger company. You can invite all the followers of that page to follow your page, which is pretty darn cool. So, sorry, Ingo, were you saying something here?
Yeah, I just loved this. Is an interesting feature I was not aware about. We are kind of over time. How much great content you have? Since other than on TikTok, it seems that our developers can listen to you forever.
Yes, yeah, they can. Yeah, to be fair, I was probably a couple of minutes before the end, but yeah, I mean, I could speak forever. But at least you've got all of the core trends here. Yeah, so you'll find all of this from my newsletter anyway. So
I'm sorry for the audience that we now had this very quick run at the end, but it was incredibly helpful. Thank you so much, Andy. And
absolute pleasure.
Take the QR code. Great feedback in the chat. Andy is doing not so intensive, but a lot of regular updates in the newsletter and on LinkedIn. So don't miss to follow him. You find his LinkedIn profile as all the other profiles of the speakers on the landing page of the event. Thank you so much, Andy, for letting us know. And also thank you so much for bringing the scheduler to Adobe Express and improving Express for marketers as well.
Love it. Thanks so much for having me, Ingo. Thank you, everyone, for taking a bit of time. Really appreciate it.
Have a great evening. See you.
See you later.
Developers Live.